Hi, this is Ken Bruce from BBC Radio 2. You're listening to RadioJCom in Leeds.
This is your Leeds Jewish station, RadioJCom.
Hello and welcome again to Rambling with Bob. You're listening to RadioJCom, broadcasting on www.radiojcom.com and on the YouTube. And today in the studio, I've got Diane Saunders. Hi again, Diane.
Hello, Barbara.
Right, well, this week, as we speak, on the 5th of March, and following, couple of weeks, we have Millim.
Well, it started last night.
Right.
The Millim Festival launched last night with an amazingly successful event with Helen Taylor, who is the emeritus professor of English, and she has written a book called Why Women Read Fiction. And it was a sellout. We had 60-odd people there.
Lovely.
And she was brilliant. And it was fascinating. Why women read fiction.
Why do women read fiction, then?
Well, we read
in a nutshell.
To escape.
Right.
To broaden our horizons.
Yeah.
To live lives we wouldn't already live. We live in Leeds North, in North Leeds. What is it like to live in the Caribbean? Or what is it like to live in Israel or in 17th century Europe?
In fiction rather than in the real life, though. So
yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, although you may be reading Jane Austen for the story, you're still living in 1812 in the manners and the mores that they have then.
Yeah.
And you learn.
Yeah.
Fiction is a wonderful vehicle for all sorts of things.
I absolutely agree. I love fiction. I love my detective stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently, women over 50 read the more gruesome. The older women get, the more gruesome detective stories.
Right.
Well, I don't like gruesome.
Yeah.
In fact, I stopped reading. I can't remember who it was I stopped reading because they got too gruesome. you know, too much detail is too much.
Yeah.
So tonight we have Richard Zimler at Seven Arts, and
when this programme goes out, it will already have been.
Yes, I know.
But
so we're looking forward to that.
Wonderful speakers.
We do.
Yes, and going right up until the 25th of March.
Yes, that's right. And we're excited about it.
Right.
And we are part of the Leeds Lit Fest, and Millim in 5 years has come a long way.
It certainly has. Just the odd thing now to a fully. What can I say? You're an organisation now, really, aren't you?
Well, people have heard of us.
Yes.
People have heard of us, and we are on the literary festival scene in Leeds. We are, we are a small, big player.
Yeah.
We're never wanting to be a hay. We're very fortunate because we're not. Our goal is not to raise money for charity, and it's not to make a profit. So our goal is to provide entertainment and
bring literature,
to Leeds. Yes,
to the few, to the many, kind of.
Yeah. And so we don't have the pressure that some people have. That some of these organisations have.
Yeah. And do you find it enjoyable? You personally
love it.
Yeah.
Stressful
You've got a nice
times.
committee as well.
We have. There's 7 of us.
Yeah.
And each one of us is responsible for. We don't have any schleppers.
No, you bring your own thing too.
Yeah. And if something needs doing, there's always somebody who'll say, "Oh, I'll do that."
Yeah, that's great because that doesn't happen these days.
No.
People are zucking around to join a committee, and when they do, you have those who sit and listen. And
we don't have anybody who sits and listens because we tell them we don't want them to sit and listen.
Yeah.
People say, how people say, you know what you should do.
Yeah.
And we say,
well, you do it.
Yeah, exactly. You do it. And if you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And the only person who did that and who said, you know what you should do, and followed up is Philip Goldstone. Phil Goldstone is an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And he said, you've got no sport. And we said, we haven't, Phil, if you want to do it. And he has.
Great.
And we've got a fantastic 100th-year anniversary event at G-Cell for Leeds United.
Wonderful.
And we've got 126 of that so far.
Wonderful.
Yes, everything's very good for me.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be away for most of it, so...
How awful for you.
I know.
How awful. Going to Tenerife, how awful.
I know. What can I say?
How awful for
That's
you.
if I get there, Diane.
Yes, that's true. In fact, there will be palm trees in Tenerife, I expect. Are there palm trees in Tenerife?
Yes.
Well, if you want to go to the Costa del Cleethorpes...
Oh, right.
You can go and find palm trees there because apparently the North Seas Resort's big idea to bring back visitors is a 72-foot steel palm tree. Now, I'm not sure if a 72-foot steel palm tree is going to attract anybody to Cleethorpes.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, really, although some people do go to look at obscure items. So.
This is very true. But maybe one of the knock-on effects of what's going on in the world with flying and with the flights being cancelled is that people will be looking at places to go.
Absolutely. Well, do you think it will compete with the Angel of the North?
Interesting. Who knows? But when you go to the Angel of the North, you're usually going on your way somewhere. If you go to Cleethorpes, you're not going to be driving off into the North Sea, are you?
Well, yes, I think that's somebody's idea, as you said. There are always some clever people around. Let's hope it pays off.
I hope so too.
Yeah, but just going back to the literature, I now have a reading list, it says, that shames our teenagers. Now, teenagers apparently are falling behind in reading the standards and what have you. And I was just looking at this, and out of 20, most of them, a great proportion of them are David Walliams books.
Really?
Yes. And other people, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Meltdown is one. That's not David Walliams, but Billionaire Boy is one of his. The Boy in a Dress. Amongst it is Charlotte and the Chocolate Factory, whose Roald Dahl is out of favour with us, isn't he? Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Now that's something I really didn't expect to find on this list, because I would have thought that was
a bit dark.
Yeah, yes, but it's based on a research from Renaissance UK. We like our researchers here, but these are students at secondary schools. So what has happened then to literature being taught in secondary schools or second education?
Well, I think last night we were talking about libraries, and in the last 5 years, 800 libraries have closed. And whilst it's an obligation for prisons to provide a library, it isn't necessary for schools.
No, but surely there's still literature being taught. English?
I'm sure there is.
So can you think of any reason why these teenagers wouldn't be reading these standards?
I can think of lots of reasons. Mainly, they communicate in different ways. Their attention span is different. Their entertainment is different.
They're probably all thumbing it on their iPads or whatever.
There's no time when they're by themselves. And I heard a wonderful phrase yesterday. Rather than loneliness, you have oneliness. I am by myself a lot, and I don't feel lonely, but I am by myself.
Yes.
So the phrase oneliness sort of suited me.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think kids today are not oneliness enough.
Yes.
They always feel they have to be in easy reach of something or somebody.
What also this survey has found that those aged 13 to 16, for example, regularly read books, but on average they're at least 3 years below their chronological age.
Interesting.
That's a thought, doesn't it? So
there's nothing to stretch them. The curriculum is different than when we were at school or our kids were at school.
Yes.
Because they have lots more technology and that's of today.
Yeah.
And they have to have there's so much obligation to have English and maths, obviously, and the 3 sciences and the this and the that.
Yeah.
And so, they push out stuff like history and geography and literature.
Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs. But just staying on this item for a moment, the Poet Laureate, Simon Armitage.
Yes.
This is a funny story, actually, but just before we come on to that, did you know that the Poet Laureate has a stipend of 600 bottles of sherry?
The sack. Yes, I did know that,
Right, well, apparently he's yet to
claim it.
to claim his consignment, and apparently it will be arriving by articulated lorry.
Well, where would you put it?
Well,
under the stairs.
He's got a garden shed, apparently.
Right.
So He says, I've already got a few bottles of Trainer Sherry and I'm sharpening my palate.
And I suspect he could auction it off. I suspect quite a lot of people would be very happy to buy a bottle of sack that was designated for the poet laureate. It'd be a good way to raise some money. But he's starting, Simon Armitage, who was born in Huddersfield.
Oh, right.
Is setting
I
up,
knew you'd know something about this.
He's setting up a poetry centre in Leeds.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is very interesting because, poetry is something that not everybody reads nowadays. People don't read it. And I was given a book token a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I went into Waterstones and I bought a fantastic book by Giles Brandreth. About how learning poetry can help with dementia.
Yes.
Learning a couple of lines,
Yes, I can see that. But I wonder why he's coming into Leeds and not in Huddersfield, where he's from, because Huddersfield is an up-and-coming university.
It is.
Down now.
And they have a lot of things going on at their university.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is where my area of expertise is with the New Holocaust Memorial Exhibition Centre, is at the university there.
It is.
Wonderful place to go visit.
It is. It's a fabulous building, isn't it?
It is. The university.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful place.
Yes, it is.
But the exhibition itself is well worth going to see well.
It's a good point you make, because Huddersfield do have a literary festival. And it is interesting. I don't know why.
Kirklees itself and Calderdale, they have loads of these exhibitions and centres.
I don't know, you obviously decided that Leeds was a bigger centre.
Maybe.
And with Channel 4 coming, I don't know, maybe it just made more sense. I don't know.
Do you think in our lifetime?
If the government don't close it down.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've had a little bit now about literature and what have you, so let's stop for a little while and have some music.
Okay.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I heaver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's heavering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm walking, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I go, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's going over you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. When I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home with you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home with you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
Proclaimers, I'm going to be 500 miles. No, I must say, not my favourite kind of music, but the Proclaimers, the boys are twins, 58 today.
Oh,
so happy birthday to the boys.
And everybody else.
And everybody else who's, but you know, there'll be somebody in the world with a birthday today.
In fact, last night somebody said it was their birthday today, and they were buying the book as a birthday present to themselves.
Lovely. Very nice. Okay, shall we talk politics now?
Why not?
Why not? Okay,
there's so much going on.
There is a lot going on. So let's start sort of overseas to start with. We've just had the third Israeli election in 10 months, and Netanyahu obviously got in again.
Well, not decisively.
Well,
just about.
But I think it's an obvious.
I find it fascinating, and after last year when we all felt so churned up about politics, I've got a bit of an insight of how it affects your everyday life when the country's politics are in such turmoil. And the Israelis have 3 elections in a year.
Yes.
And he's going on trial next week.
Yeah.
I find that, it's just... I don't judge the Israelis because, we don't live there, do we?
Well, we don't. We also don't live in America. There'll be somebody else who'll be going on trial as well. But having said that, leaving the gentleman out, we're looking at, you've got it in front of you, Joe Biden.
Joe Mentum, they're calling it. I stay up late, and I was watching Super Tuesday results coming in on CNN late on Tuesday night. And it obviously had some effect because I woke up in the middle of the night. I'd had a terrible dream that somebody had told me that I didn't have enough national insurance contributions to continue with my chemo. And I woke up in this blind panic and thought, how awful to be living in America.
Yes.
The razzmatazz and the money that goes into American politics. Billions. Compared with the lack of care they have for the individual. I find it quite fascinating. And whether Biden, challenges Trump or Sanders challenges Trump, I think Trump's going to get it again.
Well, I do. Yeah, I do as well.
But
I mean, you're saying that they have no NHS there, but if you do go to hospital for anything and you are billed for, if they put a plaster on your finger, you will get, at the end of the line, you will get a bill for
a second pillow.
plaster.
A second pillow, Barbara. They get charged for a second pillow.
Everything, yeah.
And it is quite interesting, isn't it, when you look at what's going on in these democratic elections in Israel and in America and here. I think we may not have the greatest integrity in some of our leaders, but Israel is one of the very few democracies
it certainly is,
who actually put their leaders on trial and send them to prison if they're wrong. We tend not to do that here.
Yes.
We'll find a way of not doing it.
There's a way, yes.
Yeah.
There's a get out of jail free card.
A bit like Monopoly. Well, the money involved is
exactly,
Monopoly.
That's what I mean.
But I'm always very grateful that we only have a few weeks in our election campaigns.
Well, there's not as much build-up, is there?
No.
Or hysteria. Although lately there's been some hysterics.
Yes, there have. I mean, I think the election for the Labour Party leader is dragging on and dragging on. And anyway, who knows?
But this also, it can be put down to technology as well.
Yes.
There's so many more people who wouldn't normally have sort of got themselves involved, not necessarily interested, but involved through the state of the arts, become involved and aggressively so as well.
Yeah. Yes. It's the anonymity of social media that allows people to be so aggressive, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. All boils down to the fingers on the iPads and the phones and the what have you.
Yes.
So sometimes technology can be a bit of a bind, really.
Well, like most things, it's a mixed blessing.
Yeah.
It can be good, it can be not good.
Yeah. So, sometimes things happen, but there's a gentleman here who's been through lots and lots of things, who was born in 1908. So this Briton, Bob Waiton, is 111, coming up to 112. He's the oldest man in the world.
Unbelievable.
As far as we know.
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? And he's compos mentis.
He's absolutely compos mentis, and what he says is he's not celebrating because the fact that he is in the position that he is means that somebody else has died.
Oh.
How about that?
That is very true.
Isn't that?
That is very true.
Yeah.
But look at him. I mean, obviously the listeners
Yeah,
can't hear.
we like photographs on radio.
But he,
yes.
but he doesn't look. If you looked at him, you'd say, how old is this guy? You may say
Yeah.
90, 80 odd 90.
Absolutely.
He looks,
Living independently.
yeah.
He's lived through 5 monarchs, 26 prime ministers, and the outbreak of the First World War.
Well, he was 7. No, 6 was he when the First World War?
Well, he was born in 1908,
so 6. So I have memories of it.
Yeah.
I think we don't stress enough that only 10% of people die in nursing homes. 90% of people die in the, living in the home.
Yeah.
And I think we get so much. We're overwhelmed by the lack of resources to the care system.
Yeah.
But we don't get enough that lots of people actually continue to live at home.
Yeah. So, and just about with him being the oldest man, the oldest woman is Japanese, and she is, would you believe, 117.
Gosh.
So, yeah.
So she was born when Victoria died. Oh, my goodness.
It's, I don't know. It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
It is.
Hard to comprehend.
Very hard to comprehend.
Yeah. So there we are. So have you got something else there? Or?
Well, I have got a wonderful photograph.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, but it prompts a story, doesn't
Yes,
it? Photographs
it does.
prompt.
It's lovely, yes.
In the mail this morning, yeah. Our dream kitchen with no mod cons, and there's this enormous photograph of a medieval kitchen. And it reminded me, a few years ago, I went to Hampton Court.
Right, yes.
And they had a kitchen very similar to this. And of course, in this kitchen, what isn't there are the skivvies that would have been in the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, it's just showing you.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
the many skivvies. But I heard something that was really interesting. Apparently, the first pie cases were made to contain the content, not to be eaten. So they used the pies as a vehicle rather than a plate, because then they could throw them away and save the washing up. Especially when they had banquets for hundreds.
Yeah.
And you think, oh yeah, much easier to throw them all away.
Throw them all away, but sometimes I would imagine, maybe I'm wrong, that maybe the skivvies, as you say, if they were hungry, would eat those pie plates.
I'm not sure, because it was sort of
You think
flour
they
and
made it
water. Yeah, it just was.
Right.
Yeah,
but
a
if
hard.
they did have food, it's...
I think in the kitchens they did.
Yeah.
I think they'd have, they'd have found a way to eat, wouldn't they?
And I know I could rely on you for some interesting subjects, yes.
Things that are of no value.
It's
yeah.
wonderful to see this particular
This is
couple,
a restoration, yes.
Yes, that they're making a collection of everything that they
Yeah,
find from years and years.
Well, they've restored a chateau
Years, yeah.
that dates back to 1160s.
Right,
Which
so
is
even
quite something,
even
isn't
their
it?
home is restored as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is quite something,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I suspect, I can imagine how once you start doing this, it soon becomes an obsession.
Yes.
I can imagine.
Well, yes. Anybody who collects anything, they start off with a child, a shell by the seashore, can finish
Yes.
up with,
It's obviously a human characteristic.
Yeah.
It's something that we
Yeah.
humans like to do.
Yeah.
And then when I moved into a very small flat after a much bigger house, a friend of mine who's a minimalist, I said to her, "What do you do, Tess, if you've got all this stuff to get rid of?" She said, "Well, I always think if you've got 2 of something, you get rid of one of them." And I said, "Well, if I've got 2 of them, I always wonder, do I need a third?"
That sounds like me. I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
I try not to be.
Yeah.
But it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. But you know something, if you put something away, and you know what they say, if you haven't used it in a year or even 2 years at the most, then you can forget what's in that box. Do you need it?
Oh, I would never do that.
What
I'd have
would
to look.
happen? We would have to open it up and look and see what there is there.
I don't know.
And maybe put it in another box.
Maybe so. And if you tip it out, I don't know. It's really interesting. They do say that, but you don't always have to listen to what they say. I know I had to get rid of books. I had to get rid of hundreds of books when I moved. And 3 times since I've thought, oh my God, have I thrown that book away? And only one of them I've thrown away.
You surprised me to say you have to get rid of books.
I had to because I just didn't have the space.
Books,
but the last one was a friend of mine. We were talking about Nostradamus.
Oh right.
And his predictions for today.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I've got a Nostradamus, and I bought it because it was printed in 1947, which is the year I was born.
Okay.
I thought it was quite significant. Anyway, it was a bit tatty, but I obviously have thrown it away. But she said she's got 2, so she'll bring me one. But this
so you're starting again?
Well, I am buying books, but apparently this is the time when everything's going to come to an end.
Yeah. Okay.
So we believe.
Yeah, so somebody believes anyway. Yeah, so maybe they're going to come to an end because apparently prescription fees are going up again.
Are they?
Yes. The charge is going to jump to, are you ready for this? £9.15 an article on the prescription.
I think that for some items on the prescription, £9.15 is cheap, and for some it's not cheap. And I think it would be a good idea if the chemist said, "Why don't you buy this over the counter?"
Yeah.
I think maybe there will be a time when the price tips to them saying, "You're getting this on prescription, but actually, like mouthwash, it's on prescription. It's £9.60. You can buy it for £3 or £5."
Yeah.
So I think that there is something about and value for money and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And how many of the prescriptions that get filled don't get used?
Well, this is it. Yes, because of the charge, and.
But I'm thinking more about the free prescription charges. Everybody who gets free prescriptions, as I do.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, people of a certain age, and whether medically, now talking about medically, synthetic wigs are going to rise, and human hair wigs are quite expensive. But those that are on prescription, you do have to pay a certain amount. And they're going up. Now, things like that. I know everything has to go up, but, there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, I think I'm offered free mouthwash. And the reason I know about mouthwash is I said to the oncologist last time, don't put free, I'll buy my mouthwash. And I think if more of us bought those items that are not expensive, it would help everything.
Yeah, this is true.
But people feel that they are entitled to, and we are entitled to.
Well, we've paid our dues, haven't we? So,
but for mouthwash, have we paid our dues for mouthwash? We have the chemo, but for mouthwash, there's no proportion. It seems to me.
No, absolutely not.
And I think there should be.
And perhaps that the conversation will go on again. Yes. So, have you found something else there to talk about?
I'm just reading this little item. Former tennis world #1 Billie Jean King, a heroine to many women, says she's thrilled to become a Barbie.
Yes.
Somehow
there's a few new Barbies coming out.
Somehow Billie Jean King and Barbie is a bit of contradiction in terms. The doll seen by many as an affront to the modern liberated woman. King joined such women as Florence Nightingale, Ella Fitzgerald, in Mattel's lineup of inspiring women Barbie dolls. King famously took on male tennis player Bobby Riggs in a match dubbed the Battle of the Sexes, in which she trounced him. She was always very feisty.
Absolutely, she certainly was. Yes, she was very up and with women's rights as well.
But I think as well, if Barbie can bring the names of these women to these young girls, these young children, it's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So another thing that's going to be quite something here are baby bumblebees are being brain damaged by pesticides. They're harmed by a commonly used pesticide, and this is research from Imperial College London. How do you scan the brain of a bee? No.
Silence came the reply.
I was going to say the silence was deafening there, but
I don't know, because I suppose if a bumblebee's habits change, what's the cause? Is it instinctive because of legs or arms, or is it the brain? I don't know. But bumblebees are having a terrible time at the moment, aren't they? They were in California, I think. They were taking bumblebees out to the valleys so that the nuts and the fruit can be pollinated, because they had lost so many bumblebees.
Well, apparently, I'm just reading this on, and they found that there is an insecticide called imidacloprid.
I'm very impressed.
And it facilitates learning shown reduced growth. So the research says that the findings published are causing permanent brain damage in the insect. But this pesticide is restricted in the EU, and research supports government policy to maintain the ban in the UK after Brexit. So I don't know who will be using this pesticide then.
Farmers.
If it's going to be banned by the EU, people outside the EU.
I don't know. I think most pesticides in volume I would imagine is used by farmers.
Yes, but here they won't be able to use it, so maybe they won't be as, or certain bumblebees won't be as brain damaged. It fascinates me how they can get to the brain of
Not very big, is it?
any insect. Absolutely. So
I suppose the brain being the nerve centre and the computer of any animal, everybody's got to have a brain to coordinate the limbs and the thoughts.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So these poor bumblebees, it will be quite something in the future if it's affected permanently.
Well, I think we've been reading about this, the bumblebee plight, for over a year now,
for a while,
maybe longer, and because we live our lives on the lowest possible level, which is where we live our lives, in our own little places, we don't always see the bigger picture, do we?
No,
Who knows?
Absolutely not.
Who knows? It is, and the more the terrible things you read in the world, the more you want to stay in your little picture.
Yeah, and talking about terrible things in the world, there was something, I don't know if you remember, there was a little boy. Was it in America? It was in Australia. It was in Australia. This child who had a form of dwarfism. He was bullied so much that he said he wanted to kill himself. And what is he, about 9 or something like that? Which is a terrible thing, isn't it? And Hugh Jackman, the actor, took him on and sort of befriended him and raised more than £360,000 for this child after he'd seen him sobbing online and saying he didn't want to live anymore. But the child has thanked Hugh Jackman and has donated most of this money. His mother wanted to take him to Disneyland to brighten him up. He said, rather than go to Disneyland, he's donated this money to other people.
To a charity to help bullying.
Yeah.
It's quite inspirational, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Cannot imagine how that child felt.
Yeah. We want the money to go to community organisations that really need it.
Oh.
So it is an art.
It is, isn't it?
Occasionally we like our stories,
yes,
So that was the our story this week. But hopefully this child will get to Disneyland.
I'm sure he will get to Disneyland,
sure
even if Disney pay for him to go.
Do you think?
And
yes.
why not? And why not?
Absolutely.
But how awful for the mother.
Yes.
What a terrible thing to see your child being bullied.
Yes. Yeah.
But people do bully. I think again, it's human nature.
We're going back to social media and technology again, aren't
even
we?
before that, I think.
Yes,
think
but
people
now
bullied?
it's global, isn't it? They pick up on all sorts of things, and what can start off as something quite obscure and maybe minuscule, it can be turned into something. It goes global, and then some people come out the woodwork and say, I'm being bullied for this, that, and the other. I think sometimes we live in a terrible, terrible world.
Yeah.
Have we progressed?
In some ways,
in some ways,
we haven't.
Yeah.
I think it's human nature, isn't it? And it's certainly for children to want to be part of the crowd, and anybody who isn't part of that crowd this dreadful othered.
Yes, they've always been bullies.
They have always been bullies.
Yeah. I don't know. Never having experienced bullying at all.
I was bullied by a teacher at school.
Really?
Yeah, when I hated this teacher,
Wow.
and people really liked her, and she died not long ago, and she was 90-something. And people say, "Oh, I thought, oh my God, I've been wishing that woman bad." Oh yeah.
Well, now you've said that. I personally didn't, but as a group, when I was a teenager, or even before I was a teenager, at high school, and our section, as you know what I'm going to say, we were, I suppose, bullied as a group because we were always called you girls. I went to an all-girls grammar school, and you girls, who we had to sit at the back of the class when it was RE, because of our religion, and you girls were always...
Yeah.
So that was a form of bullying,
Absolutely.
wasn't it? Yeah.
I was fortunate. I went to Thoresby High School, and there were only 14 Jewish girls in the whole school. So I was the only Jewish girl in my class for 5 years.
Oh, right.
And I was exotic for these kids. I had family in Israel and Los Angeles, and they had family in Pudsey and Farsley.
Yeah.
So I just loved it. I didn't have that. I didn't have that at all. I was quite exotic.
Yeah. Well, I was at Allerton High when it was a grammar school. So,
Yeah. Well,
those of you who are listening who remember those years ago, in the 40s, will know who I'm talking about.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
talking about guilt.
Okay, we'll have a quick one now because I think we're coming to the end of the programme.
Okay, well, very quickly.
Yes.
As if life wasn't guilt-inducing enough, Emma Watson's launched a calculator to tell you how bad your shopping is.
Okay.
How bad your shopping habit is for the planet. So next time you go shopping, think about what you're doing to the planet.
Which is when we leave here, yes.
Yeah. Well, apparently with the impact of the virus in China is the biggest supplier of zips. So if you can't get zips, you can't make clothes or handbags.
Okay.
So there will be fewer in the shops.
Oh, right. Well, on that note,
happy
and
note.
I'm not going to China, but I will be on holiday, so we'll have a couple of weeks break. And thanks for coming in,
Pleasure.
Diane. We've come to the end of today's programme, and you've been listening to Rambling with Barbara on RadioJCom. And the programme today was produced by Noel Sumroy, presented by me, Barbara Cline. Hope you will have enjoyed the programme, and will join us again in a few weeks' time.
Radio